companies are always trying to screw you. They're always trying to screw you. So this is what this video is about. And so this is just going to be a mini tip on how to not get screwed, or how to get screwed less by big companies. And the whole idea is, if you know a little bit about yourself, you can prevent yourself from getting screwed. Or you can get screwed, but it's not going to be quite so painful and that. So we're going to head out here in this lovely Geneva morning. So with the idea of how to get screwed less by companies. How to get screwed less by companies. Marketing is going to make anything seem really nice and flashy, and companies can always choose what aspect of a product to emphasize. What aspect of a product to emphasize. Meaning that if there's a new Hoover that's coming out, then a company can choose if to say, oh, shall we say that this is eco-friendly, or shall we say that this is, eco-friendly, or shall we say that this is like really powerful? So companies can always choose. They choose the benefit almost, just depending on what seems good to them. So again, a TV could be marketed as eco-friendly, it could be marketed as very powerful, it could be marketed as very convenient and easy for you to use. These are all choices that almost have got very little to do with the product itself, and it's just a marketing choice that companies make. Why is that important for you? Well, it's important for you to realise that the benefits of the stuff that you see, even of this like camera that I'm using, these glasses, this shirt, it's all chosen not necessarily because it reflects something that the product actually does, or the product is, but it's chosen because the company thinks that that's what you want, that's what you're looking for. Anyway, so why is it, what's the link between this psychology that I'm talking about, that I'm really interested in, and you not getting screwed by big companies? Well, the link is quite simple actually, where if you know the things that really matter to you, things that you value, then that should be like your polar star, like your northern star that guides you when you make choices. Oh look, I don't think I even knew that there was this Philip Patek. So if you know the things that really matter to you, the things that really guide you, then that can really help you make good decisions. So in the simplest form, psychology can be broken down into values. So the stuff that you value. What are these values? Well, these values, some people say there's more or less, but who cares? But in general, these values, I think it's cool to go up here. In general, these values are egoism. So how much you're self-centered, how much you think about yourself. And that could just be the thing that matters the most to you. You. Okay, like, we're not here to judge, okay. And otherwise there could be altruism, how much you care about other people. Otherwise there could be hedonism, or some people say hedonism. And that's something to do with how much you enjoy pleasure, sensorial pleasure, acoustic pleasure, any kind of pleasure. And so people who have as like one of their main values in life hedonism, these are the people who are really like sensation seekers or of this kind. And then there's people who this is other values as well, and even like status is a value. Some people really value status, like their position in the hierarchy, and others still value environmentalism. So environmental aspects, helping the environment, knowing that something isn't having a massive impact on the environment, and so on and so forth. And anyway, so why am I saying this? I'm saying this because when you go and buy something at the supermarket, go and buy something in a shop, especially if you're spending a lot of money, it's quite good to have an idea of the things that you value. That can really help you from getting screwed. And in order to make this nice and concrete, then so I can tell you like the two things that I purchased. And so one of them was just like, essentially one was diabolical, a bad choice, and the other one was a really great choice. Let me just hold this, then it'll be easier. So the great choice that everybody's just constantly saying to me, like, oh wow, that's amazing, was the car. I bought a car, and it was a fast car, convertible, MX-5 and Mazda MX-5. And that was just a fantastic, apart from the deal, it wasn't expensive and everything, but I really did my homework, studied the car for very, very many months, and because I value hedonism, I value pleasure, this like the wind in my face, the sun beaming down on me, the sensation of going really fast, even if you're not going particularly fast. These are things that really mean a lot to me. That's why I would spend extra money to have these like fun, like essentially fun. And so that instead, for example, for personally me, I don't really care about status. And so that's why I was happy to spend a bit, like, to essentially, because you can't have, very often you can't have everything when you buy a product. So I was happy to spend more on these aspects, like the car being convertible, being fast, etc., etc. And I was willing to sacrifice status. So the car not being new, and the car not having a few bumps or a few scratches. These things really didn't matter to me. And also the car having like the latest electrical equipment. My car had nothing. It didn't even have MP3. You had to use CDs. And so I sacrificed all of that. Even just the car was just like, you felt every single bump in the road because you were like so close to the road. And so I decided to sacrifice essentially comfort and status in exchange for hedonism. So that was the best purchase I ever made. Fantastic. One of the worst purchases I ever made is my current gym membership, where I had the choice essentially, again, for the same amount of money, I had the choice between two different gyms. One gym that was going to be a 24-hour gym, open all the time, unmanned, all that stuff. And another gym, for the same amount of money, was not going to be 24 hours open. It had specific times, but it had a sauna and a steam room. And I thought, oh, sauna, steam room, that sounds amazing. And I ended up getting the sauna and the steam room one. Terrible choice, because I've only used the sauna and the steam room twice in the past like 6 months. And again, I'm a person that really values freedom so much. So the idea of just having to, I already knew this beforehand, and I thought, okay, well, even a person who values freedom as much as I do, I'll adapt somehow to the opening times and the closing times of the gym. And they're not absurd. It's something like 9 o'clock in the morning and it closes at 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening. So I thought I can adapt to that, but I'm not able to adapt to that. I've gone a few times and it was closed, and already I don't go to the gym that often. So motivating yourself to go to the gym and then you arrive there and it's closed a few times. One time I was there too early in the morning, another few times it was just like closed at ridiculous times. At the weekend it closes very, very early, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was a terrible purchase, and if I'd studied myself a little bit more, and if I'd really thought about the fact that I value freedom so much, the freedom to essentially do whatever I want at any time, then that would have been the natural choice. So just to conclude this mini video, it's really good it could be good for you to know the things that really matter to you. And also because when you go and purchase something at the shops or at a shop or a store, then all the shiny marketing that you see is probably you know, you're going to get steered into whatever direction the company wants to take you in. Instead, knowing really what matters to you is incredibly important, and you can hold on to that even when somebody's like showing you some shiny package or a shiny box and all this stuff, and then you think, well, to begin with, you should always do your homework, obviously, before you buy anything, especially if it's something expensive. Don't trust what they say, what the company says about, oh, this is the super eco-friendly version or something. Just do your own homework. The companies can always say whatever they want, so something can get marketed and labelled as something, as convenient or eco-friendly or powerful, and it doesn't have to be. These are just words. That's just a strategic choice that the company makes. So you knowing the things that really do mean a lot to you and doing your homework beforehand, that's so important. And in fact, when I chose the car, I did my homework beforehand, so I knew all the specs about the car. So even if a car dealer, salesman guy was going to tell me like, oh, this car is like this or like that, I would have known whether that was true or false. And also, so doing your homework beforehand and really knowing your values. What do you value? If you do value status, then absolutely use that as your guiding principle. Choose something that looks better than the competition, looks better than other things, something that will increase your status in society. If you don't care about that and you care about other things, something being, I don't know, altruistic, helpful to other people, or hedonistic, where it's where it guarantees you certain pleasurable feelings, pleasure essentially, then go for that. And yeah, so it's so important to know yourself. And maybe I can put a little link in the video as well to these different values that people have, and just that. So yeah, in the spirit of consumer protection, stay protected and have a lovely Sunday. Cheerio.